Hello Internet! It is time to have a look at Terrakion. Terrakion, a Pokemon that I definitely missed last year in the VGC 14 format. A Pokemon that can take care of Kangaskhan and Talonflame, two of the things that I really didn't like playing. So let's have a look. This is my Terrakion. Now, you're probably thinking, ooh, that's interesting, or at least hope you are anyway, because it's not 252-252, and there's a move on there that you're probably not expecting to be on there. Now, just before we start talking about them, we're going to have a little tiny look at the Terrakion that I used at Worlds in 2013. Here it is. Had the fighting gem on it, which made close combat a real bomb, really. But as we can see, if we go back up to, here we go, this is the Terrakion that I used in the VGC 13 Nationals. I did have Lumberry on there. I do like the Lumberry. I'm sure I've mentioned as well, my Terrakion did get frozen twice at UK Nationals 2 years ago, so having that Lumberry really did help out. But looking at this spread, I don't really like that spread at all now. It just does not look efficient, does it? Maximum speed, but then we've kind of got the split into bulk and offense. Now, this is the new Terrakion. This is my updated, nice, lovely Terrakion, which helped me win so many games this year. And the spread, although it looks different, is kind of the same. But remember the last one, here it is, the HP and attack is basically the same. That is an inefficient way of going about the spread. And again, I mentioned in one of the videos earlier, some of these spreads I used at Worlds in 13, I don't really like them. They can definitely be updated and bettered and have been. This spread was to survive, I'm sure it says in here somewhere, but it was to survive a Scarfed Tyranitar's low kick, or superpower, because they do the same damage. Now, Scarfed Tyranitar was more of a thing in 2013, although there are a few more Scarfed Tyranitars popping up these days, thanks to a certain someone using it on YouTube. But this Terrakion survives a Scarfed Tyranitar low kick. This Terrakion also survives a Scarfed Tyranitar low kick, but it uses less EVs to do it. And because it uses less EVs to do it, I can put more into offense. Now, this is interesting. I was told that a few people were sort of debating about my Terrakion spread in the UK National before that, which is quite interesting really, because most people do tend to go just 252-252 on Terrakion, but I do like this spread. I like it because it does allow me to survive a Scarfed Terrakion low kick, but it also allows me to survive a combination of a Talonflame Brave Bird and Kangaskhan Sucker Punch, which is quite important. I can't remember if it's like a banded Brave Bird and an Adamant Sucker Punch, or if it's an Adamant Life Orb Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch and Adamant Sucker Punch. I can't remember which, but I'm pretty sure in most instances it will survive a basically a Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch, which is key to helping me beat a Talonflame and a Kangaskhan, which is a combination you don't really see too much these days, but it's one that I never liked playing last year, and one that I definitely want to be prepared against, because it just takes someone with a little bit of initiative to say, oh, I'm sure a Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch can knock out Terrakion here, and it probably will knock out most, but not this one. The extra bulk does help in a few other ways as well. It does mean that if I have to, Terrakion can survive an Adamant, Landorus, Earthquake some of the time, a little bit of the time, so it can survive. A normal Terrakion I don't think has any chance, but this Terrakion does have a chance to survive, and I think it will always survive a Jolly Landorus Earthquake as well, so they are two nice things that you would like to survive. Always does a Jolly, sometimes does an Adamant. So the bulk, it does help. The lack of attack, only 148 attack EVs, might make some people sort of question this spread. Now, the thing that I sort of say to justify that is, if I've got Terrakion against a Kangaskhan, I would never normally bank on my close combat one-shotting that Kangaskhan, because it could be a bulky Kangaskhan. People can always EV to survive, and basically just one-shot with a low kick back. So I would never anyway just bank on a close combat one-shotting Kangaskhan. I would always try and get maybe just chip damage from even a fake out, or a bullet punch, or anything, sandstorm if they've got it, any kind of chip damage, just to put it that bit closer to close combat range. And this amount of attack EVs does still one shot 4 HP Kangaskhan, and some slightly bulkier ones as well. So as well as maybe surviving some of these things, I don't think Terrakion misses too many one-shots. It does still one-shot Talonflame and Charizard and Volcarona with Rock Slide, but also we can see we've got a slightly interesting third move on here. I don't think there's anything else to say about the spread though, before we go on to the moves. Obviously maximum speed, so that I can at worst speed tie with other Terrakion, and things like Infernape and Virizion and whatnot if I really have to. Optimized with the 4-in special defense and everything. Yeah, that bit of bulk, it surprises me really, how many times my Terrakion does survive on just the smallest bit of HP, and I think to myself, yeah, that's the bulk, that's my EV spread that's helped me out there. So I do like this spread. It's definitely interesting. As well with the Lumberry, obviously I went back to Lumberry because there's no fighting gem, and I didn't want like Life Orb or Fist Plate or anything like that on there. I didn't really see any mileage in that. With the Lumberry, this slight reduce in attack doesn't really make a difference if I can swagger my own Terrakion as well, which is something that I do quite like doing. Like, it's funny the amount of times an opponent leads with like a Scrafty and something, and I lead with Lipid and Terrakion, and they don't even go for a fake out because they think, well, I'm just going to go for a fake out, and I'm just going to knock Lipid out with a Drain Punch or whatever, and so they don't use fake out. I can just go for a Swagger and a close combat straight on there, Scrafty +1, it knocks it out, and massive momentum swing from there. I have done that quite a few times. It is quite funny. But that's another use for the Lumberry, I suppose. And how I'm not really missing the 252 attack, basically. So I do like this spread. Close combat, obviously. Rock Slide, obviously. Protect, obviously. This last move is it's an interesting one. Now, I think a lot of people have their preferences. In the Arnhem Regional, I used Substitute in this slot because I used Substitute in 2013, and it is another kind of setting up move. I can get behind a Substitute before they bring their Landorus in, or whatever, stuff like that. Substitute was a good move. I do like Substitute, but with Hyper Voice being everywhere, it isn't so good. The amount of times I got a Substitute up and I thought, yeah, okay, I'm safe, and just not thinking that, oh, there's a Sylveon that can come in and just knock me out with a Hyper Voice behind my Substitute. It happened quite a few times, and so I kind of went off Substitute a little bit. However much I do like the move, don't think it's as good on a Terrakion this year. So next I tried out Quick Guard, which I suppose is probably the next popular fourth move choice for Terrakion. Quick Guard did help against Talonflame. It did help against maybe like a Lipid mirror match or something. It also helped against things like Whimsicott and Gengar or something, because I could bring lead maybe with Scizor and Lipid, or Scizor and Thundurus or something, and maybe get a Swords Dance if I could, but switching Terrakion in on that turn so that I couldn't get basically locked into Encore. So Quick Guard was helpful against things like Whimsicott, and any kind of prankster really. I did quite like Quick Guard, but I didn't really use it very often, and sometimes when I did use it, I used it wrongly, and obviously that's my fault. But it's always them sort of 50-50 turns where you never know if they're gonna predict your Quick Guard or what. I think Quick Guard is sometimes a little bit predictable on Terrakion, so I wasn't too much of a fan of it, because sometimes they might just predict around it. So wasn't the biggest fan. So what else could I use? Iron Head was a big consideration. Very strange move, I suppose. But Scizor at the moment is the only thing that can hit Sylveon for super effective damage, and God of War as well. So Either I'd have to maybe rely on a flinch if I really had to, like before God of War sets up Trick Room or whatever, but or a flinch on a Sylveon to avoid getting knocked out. But Iron Head, although it sounds quite nice, maybe in theory, it does only really do about sort of 60% to Sylveon, which maybe combined with a Thunderbolt or a Bullet Seed would knock it out. So, I mean, there definitely is some mileage in Terrakion having Iron Head, especially because I could, Swagger and Iron Head, and that definitely would knock any kind of fairy out, really. As long as it doesn't, as long as it's super effective, that's what I'm saying. So, Iron Head was interesting. I never actually tested it, to be honest, but it was always a consideration because this move is the one that I decided to use. I used this move, Rock Tomb, in Stuttgart, and I used it in Manchester as well, for a few reasons. The speed drop is nice, so it works with Breloom in a way. So like Icy Wind does, I can Rock Tomb something and then be able to outspeed it, spore it next turn, so that's good. But also, maybe if they've got a Salamence out and it Mega Evolves and or Protect or whatever. Next turn, I can survive a Double Edge or a Return or whatever, get the Rock Tomb off, then I'll be faster, and then I can potentially flinch it in the future. So there's options that way. Rock Tomb, if Terrakion has to, if it survives an Earthquake from a Landorus, I can Rock Tomb it back, then outspeed it next turn, potentially flinch it. Or if I can predict a Landorus switch in and get the Rock Tomb off on it, I can already reduce its speed and then already outspeed it next turn. And obviously Thunderous would still outspeed it, as well, and be able to knock it out with its Hidden Power Ice. So that was good. As well, Rock Tomb is 95% accurate. Rock Slide is 90% accurate. So if I'm like in a one-on-one at the end, and I need my Rock Slide to hit, instead I could use Rock Tomb, where I've got an extra 5% chance of winning that game. But I suppose the biggest reason, and probably the best reason why I've got Rock Tomb on here, is to avoid Wide Guard. Now, I could have put Stone Edge on here, but however many things Stone Edge might knock out, there's only ever an 80% chance that it will, because it's so inaccurate. I hate inaccurate moves. Like, you probably know that I hate inaccurate moves. So, Rock Tomb is a single target attack. It does the same thing as Stone Edge, i.e. hits a single target, but there is the added speed effect as well. It isn't as powerful, but as long as Terrakion isn't at -2 or -3 or whatever, a Rock Tomb will still knock out a Volcarona, will still knock out a Talonflame. It might not knock out a bulky Charizard, but with the single target, it does still do a lot of damage. So if they've got, a Charizard and an Aegislash or whatever, maybe it'll go for the Wide Guard. Maybe I can just Rock Tomb and knock out the Charizard that way. Obviously, the problem with that scenario is the Charizard might Protect, and it might Flash Cannon my Terrakion, so, there's always that. But, if Terrakion was paired with a Breloom, I could spore the Aegislash, or, Scizor could, maybe at least get to a +2 that turn. So, it gave me more options, and that's why I liked it. I like having options. So, Rock Tomb Terrakion, there you go. You saw it here first, basically. I don't know of anyone else using Rock Tomb on Terrakion, so I think I'll claim this one. I do quite like it. Does mean that if I use this team anymore, it's not going to be a surprise, is it? But there you go. There's my spread. There's my my moves. I do like this Terrakion. Like I think I was saying in the introduction video, I was a little bit funny about Terrakion at the beginning of this format because base 108 isn't as good as it used to be. There are so many base 110s and things faster than 110 now that can outspeed and potentially one-shot Terrakion. Like Greninja, like whatever else that weren't in the game before. Mega Metagross, etc. So I was a little bit funny about using Terrakion, but I thought in the end Terrakion is probably the rock type that I like most in the format, really. I do quite like Aerodactyl. I do like Tyranitar as well, but I can't have that with Breloom Sash. What else is there? Like Rhyperior doesn't fit the style of the team. It's not fast and hitting hard. Well, it does hit hard. It doesn't, you know what I mean. doesn't fit the style of the team. Terrakion just fits the style of the team, so that's why it's still here, and that's why I worked around it and made this work. So there we go, a bit of a longer one here on Terrakion. It's all for you, Terrakion. I've got a Terrakion plush over there that I got at Worlds in 13 as well. But anyway, so thanks for watching this, guys. That's my Terrakion, and next up, our last one, we've got Thunderous. So there we go. See you then. Thanks for watching.